Well, if you looked at these two videos, you've seen something that's kind of newsworthy if you didn't see it in a high school biology class on genetics, which is that there's a shape to the genetic material, and that shape is affected by the general environment in which the organism is living. And that means that genes are relatively on, or switched on, or off, as a function of these environmental factors that affect the internal chemistry of the organism. I'm going to put up one or two things. Actually, I've done it already, drawing from a kind of classic paper by, I believe now, the late psychologist Gilbert Gottlieb, who points out that these developments in genetics that are relevant to psychology rethink the original conception of the way genetics worked. It's hard to criticize the people back in the 50s who identified the structure of DNA. They did a great thing, and then they played out what seemed like the logical implication. The logical implication seemed like this one-way street in which genes were like a program that essentially produced proteins that become the organism, and where it wasn't clear, as indicated by the dotted lines and the question mark, whether there was any influence at all back to the genetic material. However, that original conception in which genes are just like a program, in the way a computer program will simply do this one thing and be unaffected by the internal program, won't be affected by, you're yelling at the program to please work better. The little role for the environment suggests now that it's now suggested that that was too limited a role for the understanding of genes. What instead happens, with somewhat more detail than you absolutely need here for a psychology class, is that the external environment, you live in an environment full of stress or bad nutrition, you get lots of exercise or none at all, affects internal body chemistry. And these behavioral experiences in external environments that affect internal body chemistry, then in turn, by affecting internal body chemistry, affect gene expression. That is, the degree to which the genome and its individual genes are in a shape that's expressible or switched on varies as a function of things you do, your environmental experience.